discuss is Russia Program Fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, Ivana Stradner. Ivana, welcome to this show. They're 90% there, but the remaining 10% are really, really thorny issues. Security guarantees by the United States. Putin has said that he would reject this. This is the same thing as, being brought into NATO, he views it. The Donbass region, Putin wants it. Zelenskyy doesn't want to give it up because that's area that they have not ceded to Russian forces yet and are not occupied by Russian forces. But on the other hand, Putin could continue this war for another 2 years and eventually get that territory. So where do we go from here?
First of all, let me start with some bad news, which is that Putin doesn't want to end this war anytime soon. But he's absolutely willing to continue to negotiate, to buy more time. Russian economy is not doing well, and by the end of 2026, Putin will struggle a lot. And that's why he needs right now this, in a short term, a pause to replenish his military, to reposition, and to continue. But as a former KGB guy who was trained in manipulation, he understands very, very well how to do that. And that's why he's asking all those maximalist demands, whether it's the question of territory compromises, whether it's the question of security guarantees, knowing that Zelenskyy cannot accept something like that, and to buy more time and to portray Ukraine as an unreliable partner. And words are cheap. So all we really need to know about Putin's efforts to negotiate is continuous attacks on Ukraine. That tells us all we need to know. And I want to make a very important claim when it comes to security guarantees. Look, Putin has already challenged NATO Article 5 and NATO and the West by its hybrid warfare activities when it comes to drone incursion, cut-and-seek cables, assassination across the West. What did NATO do? Nothing other than issuing a strong worded claims, we are gravely concerned. And that's why this is a typical KGB strategy when it comes to security guarantees, that he will, try to cross those red lines and making sure, when if we decide, to support Ukraine in that sense, that we have to be ready for Russia to test those red lines. When it comes to territory, that's another contested issue because not only the question related to Donbass, but something that I'm also very concerned about, its nuclear power plant, because it's a very important strategic point for Russia that Russia has been using to blackmail the West. And whoever believes that Putin wants to see Ukraine succeed and to help when it comes to efforts to rebuild Ukraine, it's sorely mistaken. It's literally just asking a fox to guard the henhouse. So we should absolutely not perceive the Kremlin through the Western eyes. We have to perceive it to Putin's ultimate goal, which is to subjugate Ukraine and to restore what he loves to call Russian respect and greatness. And he is not going to stop at Ukraine.
Ivana, what about Ukraine? You just spoke about Russia's potential weaknesses in continuing this war, but Ukraine has them as well. Thousands of troops are being killed on the battlefield. Entire cities have been decimated and need to rebuild. You have displaced Ukrainians who want to return to their homeland and want some sort of peace and stability. Ukraine cannot support itself. It cannot win this war by itself. So how much longer can it continue fighting and holding on to the fact that it doesn't want to make any land concessions and that it needs these security guarantees to end the war?
You're absolutely right that Ukraine wants to end this war, and it's actually in Ukraine's interest to end this war sooner rather than later. Many people are dying, and right now, it's winter there, and Russia has also attacked critical infrastructure. They have power outages. The situation there is really, really, really bad. But the thing is, no matter what President Zelenskyy agreed on, and yes, he has shown an effort to make compromises on territory, to hold the elections, to put, aside, NATO membership, all of those things. What we need to pay attention to is whether Russia is going to accept that. And that's, in the coming weeks, we are going to see whether Putin's words are just empty words or whether he is going to be willing to negotiate in good faith. If history is any indication, I'm not very optimistic that Putin is going to seek a long-term peace solution, because there is only one thing that Putin understands, which is the language of power. And another game that Putin is playing is to make sure that President Trump becomes tired of this war and gives up, which would put additional pressure on Europe. And Europe is absolutely neither willing nor able to sustain this war on its own. And that's why, that this situation is not so great.
Ivana Stradner, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Appreciate your expertise.
Thank you.